Hey everybody, this is Swapnil Mathur for ThinkDigit.com, and today we are at the launch event being hosted by Sony, where they have announced the availability of the RX10 and the A7 and the A7R. So far right now I have with me the RX10, which I've been using for some time. It's essentially a compact camera, but in the bridge format. It's got a 1-inch sensor, the same kind you'd find in the RX102. It's got a Bion's X image processor, which is much faster than the Bion's chip. But the key point, the main highlight of this camera happens to be the fact that it has a fixed aperture of 2.8 all the way from the zoom range of 24 mm, which is pretty wide, to 200 mm, and this is all in 35mm equivalent. Now, I have been shooting with this camera at this event for some time, and first few impressions, it feels solid. It's made of plastic. There is no denying the fact that this is a plastic camera, because if Sony made this out of magnesium alloy or any other metal for that matter, it would weigh a lot more. Sony's made this camera keeping in mind, that you might want to take it out on vacations with you, take it around everywhere you go. So it has to be light and portable. So yeah, there's that. Interestingly, there is an aperture ring on the lens which goes from 2.8 all the way to 16, and this is made of metal, so it's not plastic there. And then there is a physical zoom ring like we've seen on the RX100, which can be configured to either run the lens through the zoom range, or you can map various settings to it. Now, it's interesting because on the back it looks a lot like Sony's Alpha range DSLRs. It's a very intuitive design. It's something we're very familiar with. There's very little buttons back here, so you don't have to get confused. There's a single function button which will bring up all major functions that you want to use. There's 8 of them, in fact, such as flash mode, drive mode, AF mode, all of the ISO settings, white balance, picture modes, all of that. So it's very, very convenient. What we really liked is that there is a hot shoe, which means we can attach our flashes to it, but there is also a pop-up flash. Sadly, this flash, unlike the RX100, does not bend backwards, which is something we're not very fond of, because the RX100 allowed us to bounce light upwards and get nice film, but this doesn't allow us to do that. Regardless, it's a pretty neat camera. It's very light. It's priced at 84,990. It's a little pricey, but then again, if you got yourself a DSLR with this kind of performance, this kind of lens, you'll probably end up spending twice as much, and you need 2 lenses to do that too. So keeping that in mind, I think the 84,990 price point for this camera, though it might seem steep for a point and shoot, is totally justified. However, I'm going to hold off on that verdict simply because we want to go back, do a full imaging test, and see whether it delivers in terms of image quality or not. Until then, watch the space for more.